2 million years ago, the African night was never truly quiet. The fire cracked and hissed, sparks rising like lost souls into the sky. A clan of Homo erectus sat close, their shadows restless against the rock walls. Their bellies were full, their bodies warm, but beyond their circle of light another glow flickered on the horizon. Another fire. Another clan. And with that flicker came both possibility and danger. Because in this new age, survival no longer depended only on tooth and claw, on hunt and hunger. Now it depended on something far more unpredictable: each other. The dawn of rivalries. At first, encounters between clans were cautious. The wind carried strange smells. Shapes moved in the dark, not predator, not prey, but something disturbingly familiar. They were like themselves, yet not. Faces similar, hands alike, bodies upright, eyes burning with the same curiosity. Sometimes these meetings ended with wary exchanges. A piece of roasted meat offered, a shard of flint, a gesture that might have meant friendship, or perhaps only truce. But other times, they ended in violence. Stones hurled through the firelight, spears thrust into the night, bodies crumpling into the dust. To meet strangers was to gamble with life itself. The battlefield was not measured in armies, nor in numbers. It was measured in fire, because fire was no longer just survival. Fire was power. Imagine two clans facing each other under a blood-red sunset, each clutching burning branches, each circling their pitiful flames. The first scream tears through the stillness. Then chaos erupts. Shadows leap across the grass. Spears strike. Women fight beside men, teeth bared, nails clawing, blood spraying. Children scream in the dark. The victors drag away flaming branches held high like trophies. Their own fire pit roars brighter, defiant. The defeated slink into the cold night. No sparks, no warmth, no protection from prowling lions. For them, every hour of darkness stretches into eternity. In this world, fire was treasure. Fire was war. Sparks of belief. And yet, even in the violence, something new stirred within the human mind. When the flames whispered and the shadows stretched long, Homo erectus began to wonder. Why did lightning bring fire? Why did sparks leap from stone? Why did the flames dance as though alive? Some believed fire carried spirits. Some saw ancestors in the sparks that drifted upward, souls ascending to the stars. Some feared that fire could be angered, that it could abandon them if disrespected. Around the flames, gestures became stories. Whispers turned into myths. These were the first seeds of spirituality, the roots of belief, the beginnings of what would one day become religion. For the first time, early humans were not only hunters, not only survivors, they were dreamers. The long journeys. But belief alone did not fill stomachs. Hunger drove them onward. Drought forced them to move. Curiosity lured them farther still. Step by step, fire in hand, Homo erectus began to leave the African cradle. They followed the rivers north. They crossed mountains where winds howled like spirits. They braved deserts that shimmered with mirages of water that never came. Some perished, entire clans swallowed by snowstorms, their fires extinguished by merciless winds. Others pressed forward, finding new valleys, new prey, new challenges. Slowly, the map of the world was being written, not in ink, but in footprints and ashes. Clans and conflict. As groups spread, they encountered not only predators, but each other. Some traded, some stole, some killed. The fight for territory, for resources, for fire itself. These were the first wars. They were small, bloody, personal, but they carried lessons that would echo through all of human history. Victory gave food, fire, and future. Defeat gave silence, hunger, and extinction. The birth of symbols. But amid this brutality, sparks of something extraordinary appeared. Charcoal smears on stone, marks scratched into bones, arrangements of stones left near fire pits, as though honoring the dead. These were not accidents. These were symbols. The first whispers of memory, of meaning, the earliest evidence that humans were beginning to step beyond survival into something greater. Perhaps they believed the dead walked in the fire's glow. Perhaps they feared spirits hiding in the wind. Perhaps they told stories of monsters in the dark, or of ancestors watching from the stars. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. Around the fire, humanity was inventing imagination. Rivals in the night, but imagination could not shield them from the spear. Rivalries grew. Whole nights became battlegrounds of fear. Picture it. Two groups camped only miles apart. The crackle of fire on both sides. The smell of roasted meat drifting through the wind. Eyes watching from the shadows. At dawn, one clan attacks. The clash is brutal, fast, merciless. Stones split skulls. Spears pierce flesh. Blood seeps into the dirt. But with every battle came another revelation. Those who stood together, survived together. Unity became strength. Clans grew tighter, bonds stronger. And slowly, the idea of us versus them began to harden. It was the birth of identity. Fire as teacher. Through it all, fire remained the center. It was warmth, it was weapon, it was teacher. Fire taught them to cook, to share, to protect. Fire taught them to fear, to fight, to believe. Fire gave them the time to sit, to think, to imagine. Every flame was a classroom, every spark a lesson, and with each lesson, Homo erectus drifted closer to becoming us. Echoes across time. This was no fleeting chapter. For hundreds of thousands of years, Homo erectus carried fire across continents. They lit the darkness of caves. They guarded it through rainstorms. They passed it from mother to child, from elder to youth. The fire was never just a tool. It was inheritance. It was memory. It was the thread that bound one generation to the next, and in the glow of that fire, stories deepened. Symbols grew richer. Whispers of gods and spirits crept into the night air. The mind of humanity was opening, one spark at a time. The first myths. Around the flames, they began to ask questions. Where did the sun go when it fell? Why did thunder roar? What lurked in the shadows beyond the light? And slowly, answers came. Not from knowledge, but from imagination. The sun was a great fire carried by unseen hands. Thunder was the voice of spirits angry with mortals. The shadows hid ancestors, watching, judging, remembering. Each tale wrapped the world in meaning. Each myth made survival a little less lonely. Blood and brotherhood. But the myths did not erase the violence. Rivalries sharpened into vendettas. Territory hardened into borders. The struggle for fire became the struggle for dominance. Still, something else was stirring. Not every meeting ended in blood. Some ended in alliance. Some fires burned together, growing brighter, stronger. In those moments, humanity discovered something more powerful than war: brotherhood. Foreshadow of destiny. For the first time, they began to imagine not just the next hunt, the next night, the next storm, but a future where fire would not only warm their bodies, but shape their destiny. A future where unity would become tribe, tribe would become culture, and culture would one day become civilization. This was the long dawn, the shadow before the light of humanity's rise. Outro. But this was only the beginning, for as humans spread farther, as clans collided, as belief took root, something greater was rising on the horizon. Tools would sharpen into weapons. Stories would grow into myths. Clans would become tribes. And in those tribes, for the first time, humans would begin to dream not only of survival, but of destiny. The question lingers like smoke in the night sky. Did fire make us human? Or were we already human, reaching for the flames to prove it? The story continues.